Greetings, friends. It's Liam Maynard here with cashestheanswer.com, and this is how to change your subconscious money beliefs for good. Let's get started. So, changing your subconscious money beliefs. Your unconscious beliefs control the reality you live in. This is a popular concept in the self-help manifesting community. There are other people who, although they may admit that your beliefs color your perceptions, they think that beating yourself up every week trying to do 80, 100 hours of hard, intensive work is what is actually creating your reality, that it's all about work and effort and struggle. And it's my perception from and my understanding from studying this subject for 30 plus years that yes, you can live in whatever world you want to live in. If you want to live in a world where everything that you accomplish is hard, arduous, difficult to get through, but ultimately pays off in the end after your struggle and torment, then that's the world you will live in. So we're going to get into this here. Now, beliefs are tied to energy as far as I am concerned, because everything in the manifest universe is actually energy, including your thoughts and your beliefs. So let's get deeper into this. What is actually a belief? Well, the best definition, a belief is a feeling of certainty about something on a basic level, and there are different categories, I guess you could say, or levels of beliefs. So you might think of it as an opinion being like a tabletop with no legs, right? Because all beliefs are based on references. And so the references would be like the legs that are supporting the beliefs. And that could be experiences you've had. It could just be memories that you have. It can come from a lot of different sources. But a belief is based on the references and the meaning you attach to things. So the best definition that I use for beliefs comes from Orrin and Dobbin, and they said that a belief is an assumption about the nature of reality. And because you create what you believe in, you will have many proofs that your reality operates the way you think it does, which is what we were just talking about a minute ago with struggle. So the core paradigm being a multitude of habits, be they thoughts, actions, view of the world. Your core paradigm is, for many people, is one that is based on I don't deserve, or it's too hard, or good things happen to other people but not to me. It's a feeling of not enoughness. I'm not good enough is one of the core paradigms that a lot of people suffer from. And it is a major impediment to trying to create anything that you want, because we create from your identity. Your identity is a global belief about who you are, right? And tied to that is what you deserve, or what you feel you deserve. Now, this is not a vindictive universe, right? You can't desire something without it being meant to be yours. But a lot of people don't come from that place. So knowing that a belief is an assumption about the nature of reality, and that we create the reality we live in, how are they formed? Well, we talked about this briefly a minute ago. They're formed essentially from the meaning you attach to your reference experiences. So what do we mean by that? Well, often these come from childhood, and part of the problem is that they come from childhood, but we don't really know what they are or where they came from. They often come from your parents, from teachers, from peers, from things that you were told, because up until the age of 7, and we won't necessarily get into brain chemistry here, but essentially, children are in a theta type state, and so they're very susceptible to the influences around them from their environment, and they draw conclusions, and these conclusions are not necessarily true, because there's no such thing as a true belief, right? Beliefs are empowering or disempowering. There's no such thing as truth here, because a belief is this assumption about the nature of reality, and because you create what you believe in, you will have many proofs that your reality operates the way you think it does. So the beliefs are created from the influences and references around you. They are also, as a result of this, they can become just emotionalized thoughts that are repeated over and over again. So how do you discover what some of these beliefs are? Well, one way is just to start as a starting point, is just to come up with, start thinking about, what was it that I was told when I was a child by my parents, by teachers, by peers? Because sometimes this can be more obvious than it is for other people, because when you're a child, things can happen in your environment and you can draw conclusions, and these conclusions can be beliefs that you hold unconsciously throughout your entire life. And your rational adult self would not have drawn those conclusions. Your rational adult self would have consciously likely come up with a more empowering alternative, but that's not what the child does, right? And so these things can have a major impact on your beliefs about what you deserve and how the world works going forward, and not even know what they are. So as a starting point, you want to start to think about, what exactly was it that you were told. Something else you can do is look into a mirror and just say to yourself, my biggest fear about money is, and see what comes up. You can do this with pretty much anything too, but use it for that, for the financial one. And another way of doing this is to ask yourself, I'd love to do, have, X, whatever it is, but I can't because, and then just see what comes up. And you don't want to do this once and then think you're done. You want to go back to this over and over again, and you'll get more clarity on it. But these are a few ways of coming up with different beliefs that you have. Another one is to take a look at, when you think about something that you want to accomplish, right? What comes up for you in terms of something that upsets you, something that you are scared of, something that is fearful. For example, I was in our digital marketing agency when we first started off. We would offer services that I wasn't entirely certain we could fulfill. And so when someone would cancel, I was actually relieved, because now I didn't have to do this work that I wasn't sure I wanted to do or could do. But now I wanted the money, and I'd tell myself I wanted the money, and I'd do all kinds of affirmations and things. But ultimately, if what I had to think about, because everything is energy, is, and your emotions are conscious awareness of vibration. So as I felt into the energy of this, what I realized is that I was actually happy when people would cancel, because then I didn't have to do this. But it caused another problem, which is that I didn't have the cash. So I had to fix that problem by adjusting the business in a way that I knew I could get them results that was also less stressful for me, and allowed me to do other things that I also wanted to do. So that's just an example, but the point here in terms of discovering your beliefs is, in addition to asking yourselves the questions that I mentioned, which would be looking into the mirror and saying, what is my biggest fear? My biggest fear about money is, and the other one is, I'd love to have X, Y, Z, but I can't because, and writing down what people have told you, your parents or teachers, etc. Something that you can do, and this is connected to the resistant energy too, is just get quiet and centered, and start breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth, and get quiet and relaxed. And then think about something that you want to manifest, and see where the resistance is just an emotion. It's just energy, right? So feel where the resistance to this is. And when I ask yourself, when you contemplate something that you might be scared of in this regard, if you're scared of something about this, that's resistance. So you can put the cook back in the kitchen and actually visualize yourself doing the day-to-day actions that someone would do if they had already accomplished your goal, and see what comes up for you in terms of things that you're concerned about, right? And then ask yourself, what does this mean to me? Or if this was true, what would this mean to me or say about me? And keep asking yourself these questions, and you'll start to discover a number of root beliefs. So keep asking yourself, what does this mean to me? What does this say about me if it was true? And you keep asking that, you'll discover more and more of these unconscious beliefs. And often when you actually come to a core one, you're asking yourself, what does this mean to me? What does this say about me? What would it mean if this was true? And why is it so bad if it was true? Why is it so bad if it was true is something important to add to that. But when you do this, sometimes you'll come up with an answer, and the answer won't make rational, logical sense to your conscious mind. But that's because it probably came from one of those earlier experiences we talked about, where your child self drew a fallacious conclusion that your adult self would not have drawn. So if you come up with something that, rings true to a certain degree, but you also have this cognitive dissonance where your mind says, but that can't be true because that's bullshit, that doesn't mean that you don't actually, it's not influencing your life, and that it's not actually have a true belief. True being something that you currently believe, not because anything is true or false, because they're disempowering and empowering, not true or false. But you come up with these things, sometimes you'll see resistance in your mind, your logical self, because of the fact that it doesn't make conscious sense. But it could very well be actually something that you do want to change. So how do you change these things once you come up with something that you have concluded is one of your current beliefs? And current beliefs is a good way of putting it, because you can change these things overnight, right? So the first thing that you want to do is start questioning it. Now, sometimes this happens kind of automatically because of the fact that when you recognize something that is utter nonsense, sometimes just the mere act of bringing it up to the light is in part curative to a degree, because you start to realize that this is nonsense. But start questioning these beliefs of yours and start linking pain to it. So start asking yourself questions like, what's the ultimate price that I'm going to pay if I keep holding on to this, if I don't change it? Who in my life is going to suffer if I don't change this? What is my ultimate fate if I don't change this now, right? Consciously linking pain to something that you're thinking or believing can be an important step in changing it, because we will do more to avoid pain than we'll ever do to gain pleasure. And that's just a neurological fact which has been spoken of, or I think the earliest one was Aristotle. But if you go into NLP and all kinds of other psychological disciplines, there are many studies that will show that people will do more to avoid pain than they'll ever do to gain pleasure. So use that to your advantage by linking pain to beliefs you no longer wish to have. And then, of course, you have to have a replacement. So the replacement is often, the opposite of the thing that you are currently believing, but you want to replace it with a belief, and it should be one that feels normal and natural. You can install it if it doesn't necessarily feel that way now, but sometimes what can happen when people are taking an affirmation and using it as their new belief is, if your new belief is I am a trillionaire and you have trouble paying your rent, your subconscious mind, which processes trillions of commands per second, is going to look around at your environment, call bullshit, and move on, and nothing will actually change. So you want to make some of these things you can actually believe. And some of the ones that are easiest to do so are ones linked to your identity, or a shift that you can actually believe. Like, I now easily take on one new client a week, or something like that. It's different for you, but whatever it is, come up with a replacement belief, and you want to reinforce it. Now, one way of doing that is to visualize yourself into the future performing the actions that you would if this was a day-to-day part of your life. So you can visualize the end result, and that's good to do as well, as you get the feeling of plenty into your body, which is very important in terms of changing your beliefs and your subconscious, because most of us have practiced the feeling of not enoughness. We practice the feeling of lack. So you really want to start practicing the idea that wealth and abundance is not a big deal. People who have a lot of money don't sit around thinking, holy frack, I can't believe I've got all this money. It's so unreal. It's just what, if they make $100,000 a month, it's just what they make. It's not a big deal. It's easy. It's normal. It's natural. It's simple. It's doable, right? That's how you have to think of your goals and your beliefs. It's simple. It's easy. It's normal. It's natural. It's doable. It's who you are. It's not hard. It's easy, right? It's not a big deal. You can do this, and you can do it because other people have done it. And if other people have done it, then many people can do it. And if many people can do it, then so can you. But you can visualize yourself to the future in the end result and get the feeling of abundance, but also make sure that you are visualizing yourself in the day-to-day actions you'll be taking when this is done, because that's often easier to believe. Incantations, incant, which is what that means. These are affirmations with feeling, meaning they are ideas, beliefs, affirmations, incantations, meaning you incant them. You bring feeling to them inside your body of how this thought form feels, right? Because the universe responds to how you feel, and that's not something I'm just making up. There's been lots of studies with the Heart Math Institute that prove this, but the universe responds to how you feel. Just take my word for it for now. You want to incant this so that it's in your body and it's something that's also normal, natural, easy, doable, simple. The accomplishment of your goal should always feel normal, natural, doable, simple, easy. The desire aspect of creating it, and you don't want to forget that, should feel like excitement. What most people, like a kid on Christmas morning, right? A pure desire of something that you want. What most people have in terms of desire, and they confuse this, is the feeling of lack or the feeling of something's missing. That's what they think desire is. It is longing for something that isn't here. That's not what a pure desire is. It's excitement, right? Now, one of the references, we talked about references for your beliefs, can be memories that you have. Could be memories from childhood. They frequently are. So one thing that you can do to flip this, if you have a memory that is acting as a reference point for a belief, and you can just assume that you do, you can ask yourself, as you're centering yourself, we talked about centering, breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth, get quiet, get centered, and start figuring out where your energy is. Energy being your emotions. What am I scared of? Where is the resistance in the tension in this thing I want to create? You can, when you come up with these emotions, this tension, and you can ask yourself, when was the first time I felt this emotion? What's the memory attached to this? And remember that a memory isn't just pictures in your head. It can be, but it can also be things you hear. It can be sensations in your body. Those are memories. So when was the first time I felt this? And what's the memory attached to it? Then you want to go to a time when you succeeded, a time when you felt empowered, right? And get that feeling in your body, and then go back to the memory that's associated with the attention, the feeling you just came up with, and play that tension memory back, but do it from your empowered state, if that makes sense. So you want to take the feeling of empowerment to that feeling of fear and tension, and you can often change the memory or flip it. You can even adjust the memory as you go along. You'll find if you repeat this that the memory starts to actually change, and then your new empowered memory of what happened in that incident becomes your reference point instead of the old one. That's called memory flipping. And the other thing you can do here, as you're deciding what your new belief is, questioning the old one, linking pain to the old one, reinforcing the new belief with visualizing and incanting and flipping, is you can also start to proclaim. Proclaiming means you basically just tell somebody who's not going to think you're weird what your new belief is, right? Like, say it out loud to someone else. Start telling people that this is what you've decided, and no one can really, but don't do it with people who are going to, make fun of you or something, because you don't want them in your life anyway, at least not to any large degree. But people who are partners in believing, as I like to say, tell them what your new belief is. You'd be surprised how just vocalizing this out loud. Something else you can do is write it down, right? Write down what your new beliefs are, visualize them, incant them, do it in the mirror. Try the memory flipping we talked about, which is, when was the first time I felt this? What's the memory attached to it? Find the memory, and then find an empowering state, feel that empowering state, get into that empowering state by focusing on that memory, and take the empowered feeling to the previous memory. And then try the proclaiming, which is telling other people about what your new belief is. And then watch the universe start to provide you with synchronicities and different opportunities to manifest this in your day-to-day life. And as you do this, you will start to change your subconscious beliefs about money, or whatever else you want for that matter. And you will also, as you go along, you'll find that what will come to you is better than anything you could have planned. So, hope you find this helpful. In the description, you'll see a link to the full blog post. I also recommend another post that we have, which is how to finally manifest the money you desire now. And on our blog, there's lots of other resources. You can check out the Source Hacker program in our courses and resources and various things. Hope you find this helpful. Speak to you soon.